So in 50 BC, they knew that exercise kept the mind sharp. I can't do the arithmetic, but that's a hell of a long time ago, right? And so don't forget, exercise is the brain also. And if we lose sight of that, then all the physical exercise you're going to get, you're not going to get the benefit of the relaxation and the wellness that you get to your mind. Okay? So what I want to do, the other thing now, when I put this stuff up, what I like to do with it is have you see it, and so you hear me talk about it, and then by seeing it, I hope it really motivates you. Okay? And again, I wrote this one down because I can't memorize all this stuff when Joanne isn't around. That's my excuse. Exercise is the activity of exerting your muscles in various ways to keep fit. 52 BC. Is everybody with me? We're the fattest culture in the world as I stand obese, but down 18 pounds. Okay? I quit the wheat. I quit the wheat, guys. Only unfortunate thing, that means I had to give up the beer. Terrible. All right, but seriously, all joking aside, that's what got me interested in all this. As I read that and I thought about it, it's like, well, wait, I guess I have to do it. And all I did was quit eating wheat. That's all I've done. And then I'll show you the exercise today. I promised I would demonstrate it. For those of you that haven't heard the story, I made a comment that I shouldn't have made to a previous patient and friend when I was invited to speak at a group. And after I spoke, this person came up to me, and in the conversation she said, "Oh yeah, I do sit and be fit every day." And that ain't exercise. Ooh, was I wrong? Okay, and that's what I found. They challenged me to come do it. I was sweating. You follow me? So that's what we're going to demonstrate today. And the whole point of the exercise is make sure you know it's your mind as well as your body. And the importance of that, here's the best way. Okay. Heart, kidneys. I better put K for kidney, H for heart. And we'll put B for brain. And we better add the liver. Liver sits up here. When your heart pumps, sure. When your heart pumps, the majority of blood go to these areas. Do we think that's an accident? No. Okay? It's vitally important that they call it the stroke volume. That's the amount of blood that comes out of the heart when it squeezes. And the percentages to the brain, to the liver, and the kidneys are purposeful, because that's the powerhouse of your body. And what is so unique is exercise helps them. Okay? And again, brain exercises is what we have to talk about. That was the biggest piece to today. All right, did I tell you guys about my 103-year-old patient I had? Same day I had a 101-year-old and a 103-year-old. So I examined Helen, who, by the way, when I said, this is my speed, she said if she would have known that, she wouldn't have picked me as a doctor. She was upset. She was on her 4th iPhone, 103. Okay, so when I got done seeing her, I said, Helen, what's your secret? And she said, Dr. Coppola, you got to cry every day, think every day, and laugh every day. And I said, what do you mean? And she said, have you cried watching a movie? And I had just watched Brian's Song, and a little tear in the eye, right? She said, 99 cents a month, Netflix, watch it every day. Who gets the mail? I do. What do you do with it? Bills go to my wife, I keep the checks, and I throw away the junk mail. She went, read the junk mail. It makes you think. And then she said, and you're a doctor, you know laughter's the best medicine. And I said, okay. And I have to tell you, I've been watching America's Funny Videos at least 3 or 4 times a week. I do my best to try to get some laughter in. And I have been getting some mail. I can't say I've been good with the mail. And I haven't really cried for a while because Joanne made me work too hard. But then I have to tell you, when I saw Dorothy, the 101-year-old, after I saw her, and she was sharp as a tack also, I said, Dorothy, what's your secret? She goes, oh, me and Jim are good friends. I said, Jimmy Bean, shot every night. So I wrote a prescription to allow her to have a shot every night, and both nurses afterwards on the shift, Dr. Coppola, I've never taken an order like this. I said, there's always a first. But they're still drinking and enjoying. All right, now back to exercise, and we'll talk about both physical and mental. But what I want everybody to understand with the mental one is, I won't make you do a show of hands, and I hope someone in here is doing it. Does anybody keep a journal? And the reason I want you not even to raise a hand is I want you to think. We're thinking now. This is the thinking exercise phase. Okay? Your memory is perfect. And it is. I have patients. I have a great story. I have a patient that came in, had a stroke, had what was called expressive aphasia. I'm now running the rehab unit over at, they call it, used to be Ohio Valley, now it's Heritage Kennedy. It's a little 12-bed unit. We love it. It's great. Everything's working out wonderful. She came in, and she was so upset because now she had a stroke. She was going to lose her mind. That's what she said. Now I'm going to get stupid. I'm not going to remember anything. I'm going to lose my mind because of this stroke. And of course, she couldn't tell me that fast, and it took her so long, she would get tearful with everything. So I told her a good story. My mother's house was set up that you walked into a foyer, steps went upstairs, and then this was the living room, and there was a rug in the living room that you walked to get into the kitchen. And this was the dining room. The rule in my house for 30 years, you're not allowed in the living room. In the living room was to entertain, and my mother was the only one that could make that determination. So the only place the rug was wore was in the hallway. And so I explained this to the patient, that you have billions of cells in your brains. That was a B, billions, because they regenerate, so they keep turning over. And what happens is, Einstein at his best, they calculated he used 15% of his brain. And you can still think right now, reason right now, and learn right now. So quit crying, think of the rug, and develop this other half of your brain. Well, she was there for 2 weeks, and she got her speech back, and it was so neat to see how she progressed. And every day that I went in, she was reading, and she hadn't been reading when I first came in. And that's what she said brought it back. That once she started reading, and her imagination from reading, she said it was opening up her brain again. And that's why I'm focusing on it and telling you the stories, because you have to exercise your brain every day. Every day. And again, Cicero, 50 BC, knew that kept the mind sharp if you exercised it. Knew that. And in 50 BC, they knew by the definition that if you make a muscle active, it makes you fit. Now, what is fit? Fit is the function of the body with the least R for resistance. What does that mean? The body's blood vessels are perfect. We'll use this as the example, okay? Every blood vessel in your body has an artery. Every muscle, every blood vessel has the muscle inside the artery. It can constrict or dilate. Does everybody understand that? Okay? What happens in the body through what are called hormones, which are chemicals that are produced in one part of your body but have an action someplace else. So what occurs? If you're seated and you stand up, as you just start to stand up, not completely stand up, as your brain is told by your brain that you're about to stand up, it sends a signal to what's called the carotid body that tells the resistance to go up and increase the blood pressure in those blood vessels because you're about to stand. And how fast does it happen? I like doing this one. Everybody look at the G, okay? Focus your right eye on the G, and as you bring your finger into focus, look at the finger come into focus. Everybody try that? That's 375 milliseconds. How do you know that? That's Edgar Westphal's nucleus, and he figured it out. Again, 375 is faster than that. Faster than that. And your body and brain, as you start to stand up, send that signal so that your whole body is prepared for it. Does everybody understand that? That's what happens when we're fit. What happens when we're not fit? This resistance change. What happens when that resistance changes? Everything has to work harder. What does that mean? What do we say here? Heart's the most important. So what works harder? Heart. How do we know that? That's also what's neat, guys. Some of the data is phenomenal. Dr. Morris, in 1953, in Boston, studied, and I was shocked at this, 16,000 bus, what did they call it? Teams, bus teams. One was the conductor, and one was the driver. And what do you think they found? The drivers were dying of heart attacks, and the conductors were living longer. Why? One sat for the whole shift and did nothing but eat, and the other one had to get the money and run around the whole time. Does everybody follow me? The data's been here since 50 BC. Studies have been done as early as 1950s and 60s. And what happens? I, the doctor, and son of 2 daughters making $189 an hour now, am obese. And I'm not laughing, guys. This is why we're talking about it. That's how it came up to me, that we need to push reality into the situation. And everybody has to hear the facts. And the facts are, a fit body means no resistance. That the blood gets pumped from the heart, the blood vessels in its normal position, and there's no resistance to the flow of that blood, and everything works fine. And what do we know from studies in Hiroshima? For those of you guys that don't know, when we wiped it off the map, we built it back and we studied it for 25 years. You know the average age? 104. That's average age. Average age, 104. They're part of the community till death. They're part of the elders. They still run the community they live in till they die. And their minds are sharp. And we've known it since we rebuilt it. But no one talks about it. What we're talking about it for is the importance of exercise. So everybody realizes what I'm saying. And I'm giving you the facts that I know. And this is all truisms, and we have to look at it that exercise your mind and your body. Does everybody follow me? All right, guys. So we know the heart's the most important thing. We've beat up nutrition. Remember what we're talking about, the big R, resistance. And we'll try to draw the blood vessel. That shows normal. That's constricted and dilated. What changes the blood vessel for the better? Exercise. What changes it for the worst? Obesity. And then we put diet in here because, again, the blood vessel, autopsies in 1969, Vietnam children, they were 18 years old, had atherosclerosis. Does everybody follow me? The 60s, teenagers in the 60s in America had atherosclerosis. What do you think teenagers have today? Do we pay attention at all? I started to, guys. It's incredible. The high energy drinks. What was the other one? Workout. It's called pre-workout is the name of it. If any of your children, grandchildren, nieces, or nephews are on pre-workout, throw it out. What happens is there's ingredients in here that essentially get you psyched up for your workout. But they're all stimulants. And what happens with the stimulant, you get the high, but then you get mean. You get mean on the other end of it. And it's out of control, guys. Trust me when I tell you. But I like the fact that they're working out. So where do we work out? A gym. Oh, that was another one. I got that. I thought that was pretty good. The British Women's Health and Beauty was the first spa, 1840. Mary Besser. And I thought that was pretty unique. Again, they were doing things before men. They understood the benefits of health before men did, but they didn't have a voice. That's where we are today, that all this information's out, everything on the internet. What do you pay attention to? What I'm telling you now, because this is the basics and the fundamentals. Anything else you want to do, have at it. But if you do the basics and fundamentals, it works. And I'm not exercising more than a few minutes here and there. And it's the toughest part is what you eat. That's why I threw the diet in the middle. So the obesity, you got to watch the diet. And when I put fit, that stands for fitness. So I better add it on. And what is fitness? They probably use the cadets most when they do the studies on physical fitness. And these are the guys that are in perfect shape. You know, they eat their food. They have to chew the food 32 times. They sit with their backside against their chair, their feet planted on the bottom on the floor, and then it's all regimented. They can't move or do anything till someone tells them to. They eat 3 meals and a snack every day, go to bed at a certain time, get up at a certain time, have drills that they have to do, they have exercises that they have to do, and when they do their walk, they have a pack on their back, they're carrying a gun and whatever else with them. That's why they're fit. Okay, but again, that's where the details come from. So the studies were done with the bus drivers that brought up first that this is a problem, you got to be fit, or we know heart disease is going to happen. What did we do about it? McDonald's, fructose corn syrup, all the stuff that has led to children now with heart disease, diabetes, and NASH. That's what's scary. Non-alcoholic steatorrheic hepatitis is up now in teenagers. Shouldn't happen. It's horrific, but it's going on. So back to the fitness. How do you get yourself fit? That's what we're talking about today. Exercise. Now you can't try things without your doctor saying okay. All right, that's number one. Check with your doctor. And then again, how I want to approach it is you have to find a time through the course of your day to use your mind and a time through the course of your day to use your body. And again, what I'll show you literally takes 7 minutes. 7 minutes. That's pretty quick. And what you use for your mind, it's up to you. Whether you read your junk mail, whether you read a book, whether you try some other means of using your mind to improve your mind's capacity. That's the name of the game. That's the exercise for the mind. All those cells are interconnected. And if you don't add to your knowledge base, you're not sending blood to that pathway. Does everybody understand what I'm talking about? So say you know something about George Washington. I think that's who that is, right? Say you know something about George Washington, all right? You want to add to that. And I'm not saying everybody look up George Washington today, and I'm not saying everybody get a computer and be on the computer, but my whole point is we can all learn more about George Washington. Now I'm going to mess it up. Who was the, I forget all those jokes, we'll get those later. But the point comes back to, we all have capacities in our mind. Think of my mother's living room rug. The only part of the rug that was used was the hallway that you went from the front to the back. The other part of it, literally, you weren't allowed in it. You were not allowed in the living room. So it was like brand new 25 years later. That's how our brain is. We're not using it. Einstein didn't use 85% of his. So the capacity is phenomenal. Exercise your brain and exercise your body. And if you give each of them 7 minutes, it's less than 15 minutes twice a day. It's less than 30 minutes a day. That's the recommendation. And we're seeing results. That's what's neat. The studies that are being done are incredible. I'm actually looking into, and I'll share it with you guys, because if it happens, I'll see who wants to sign up. I have an opportunity to use an old high school. The classrooms are still intact. And we're trying to get funding for a grant to put together a study. And what we want to look at is take in a group of people and have them learn whatever we decide we're going to teach, and see how their memory does on different tests that they do to try to figure out, does it benefit? And based on everything I'm reading and all the stuff that I've seen, yes, it benefits. A, you think about going. And we all remember school. Uh-oh, did I do the assignment? I hope the teacher doesn't call on me. All that stuff they claim is good for you because it's making you think. So all those things get put into play. I'll let you know, because if it gets funded, then we definitely want to get some volunteers to give it a try. Back to the importance. Check with your doctor before you do any exercise. The 7-minute workout we're going to put here. In the 7 minutes we're going to put here, for the mind, believe it or not, this one I found was incredible. Daydream and pick a period of time. And it was interesting how they came up with it. I used to daydream in class all the time. I think that's what my parents used to say. Are you there? Are you daydreaming all the time? Yes, I'm daydreaming. But the point of it is, it's okay to do that. There's nothing wrong with that. It makes you think. It makes your mind go back in time. And as soon as you do that, guess what happens? The heart knows it. Check your pulse. Check your pulse. We don't have time. Or actually, we may. I'll do that next lecture. But you check your pulse. Betsy O'Neill would do this at her lectures. She would do guided imagery. So you have your hand on your pulse. She'd shut the lights off. That was my job. I got to turn the lights off. She'd shut the lights off. And then she'd say, okay, imagine being at a beach. And she'd walk you through this scenario. And sure enough, your pulse went up. And I said, I thought it was supposed to make you relax. And she said, it will, but at first your pulse goes up because you're excited about being on the beach and doing all these different things. The point is, exercising the brain is just important as exercising the body. And again, the 7 minutes, the daydream, and then when they say pick a period of time, a lot of people, I don't remember grade school or kindergarten. I mean, I do, but I was a bad kid. I just remember getting beat. That was about it. Remember when you turned 16. Remember your first date. Remember your first boyfriend or girlfriend. Remember when you graduated. Remember an event. The point is, that's all it takes. And believe it or not, 7 minutes flies when you're having fun. And these things are not painstaking. They may not be enjoyable, especially when you first start out, but they're not painstaking. So the 7 minutes does fly. But you pick that time period. And then it's remarkable how, as you start to do it, patients tell me, it's amazing what I remember. Like when you first start out, you're like, I don't remember if I remember taking my driver's test. Who drove me to my driver's test? You may start out like that. And by the 5th or 6th months, you're remembering being nervous about it 6 months when you signed up for it. And all the events of who took you out practicing driving. And all those things will come back to you. That's what this is all about. And this is all new stuff, guys. It's all being researched. And that's why I told you about Helen. Helen and Cicero taught me more than anybody. Helen to laugh, to cry, and think. And Cicero saying in 50 BC that the way you keep the mind sharp is exercising. So it just, again, all that time we've known it. Why hasn't it become common practice? And then we're talking 7 minutes. 15 total if you do it the way they're asking you to. And again, it works. I can tell you by the data I'm already seeing, and I can't wait to start our own. But this is the focus, guys. And again, when I read and they say, daydream and pick a period of time, it's not even homework. From what I see. It's not like I'm telling you 10 chapters and we'll talk about it next week. This is all simple stuff to do, so please do it. All right. What I want to make sure everybody understands before we get into the exercise part, and I even wrote these down because I don't want to mess them up. This is, you like that? Before you exercise. My kids do that. You guys know what this is? LMK. Let me know. Like my kids do all this and I don't know what the hell they're talking about, right? So I don't answer them back. And then they give me grief. Dad, you didn't answer me back. I don't know what that is. That's hieroglyphics to me. Give me what I'm supposed to know, and then maybe I can figure it out. Or why can't you text the whole thing? Oh, that's the other thing. This knows what you're doing. They made me start using this. Is it Face? No. Snapchat, FaceTime, is that what it is? All of a sudden, I look at my phone and my face is on my phone. It's like, what the hell is that? And then they'll start laughing. Dad, what are you doing? So when I hear it now, I don't even pick it up. But the point is that when I start trying to type them something, if I don't look at it, it's not the word I started to type. This finishes words. Oh, I didn't like that. So I'm back to my flip phone. This is my speed. Okay? That's the best way. Yes?
For exercising the mind, you mentioned a couple of things. Would you also include writing?
Sure. The question was, for exercising the mind, would you include writing? Definitely. Because it's your imagination, it's in your mind, you're having thoughts, you're thinking about it. Writing is great. That's why I asked it, the journal. I was going to finish up with that. Whenever I graduated from medical school, my sister, who is a PhD in folklore, imagine that. She went around the world talking to people about superstitions, wrote about it, and got a PhD in it. And that got her a dean of a college in New York City. But long story short, it was about this big, looked like a regular book. Every time I see her, did you write anything? And I did one time. I wrote, quit bugging me. And so I said that to her. I said, yeah, I did, here. But the point is, she was so right. So right. My son, who's in his second year residency in Virginia in medicine, he finally started to listen to me. I said, there's so many cases that you have, if you don't write them down, you're not going to remember the details. And sure enough, my other son, who's finishing medical school, we were all sitting around 4th of July, and he's like, oh, I had this case, I can't remember her name. I can't. And it's like, and you're what, 28? You have to write it down or you'll forget. So keeping the journal, and that's what I was going to finish with. We're not done yet. You got to put up with me yet. But my point to it is, writing is very good. That's how your mind works. If you read it, great. If you read it and write it, like the old-fashioned taking notes, as I have my notes, that is how we remember. And then what do you want to do? Go back to them. People like Joanne are very neat, and they keep notebooks and have all the stuff, and they'll put dates and times. And then if you ask them to remember something, she'll talk while she goes and gets the book and say, oh yeah, that was on such and so date. And I'll tell her right out, you didn't remember that, you just knew where the book was. But that's all you have to do. All right, so these are the points before you do these exercises. First is warm up. What does that mean? The most important, deep breathing. Breathing. That's the most important. Why is that? Because you're about to embark on a process that's going to get your heart rate going faster. When the heart beats, it sends blood to the lungs. All of our lungs. No party favors at New Year's. You blow on them. When you quit blowing, they shut. That's how our lungs are. They would rather be shut. That's their preferred position. So again, if you don't deep breath in and out before you start your exercises, your lung capacity is not at its maximum. So take the deep breath in, let the deep breath out, and then what they talk about is visualize your workout. And I'm going to show you, it's pretty easy. So while you're taking the deep breath in and out, you're going to visualize the exercises that you're going to do. And that's preferred. Well, I moved on from that, but what I found out as I read, they say the same thing when you're going to use your mind. So before you daydream, and before you go back to a period of time, or before you write something down, the deep breath in and out. More oxygen in the blood makes everything work well. Okay? Does everybody understand the concept? The second one, stretch. Does everybody know what that's for? I always thought this was good. And I stumped my son. My kids think that they're all athletes, right? And they're all in pretty good shape, and they do things well. But I laughed at them because the two of them, like I said, are doctors. And they happen to be home, and I said, why do you stretch? Oh, they start babbling about the muscles and all this other kind of stuff and what you had to do. Aerobic and anaerobic exercise. Cardiac, non-cardiac exercise. All has to do with one thing, and with the recent events with the virus, you guys might have heard of it. It's called the endoplasmic reticulum. It's the powerhouse of our cells. It's where phosphorylation occurs. Phosphorylation is what gives the energy to the muscle. We need oxygen, don't get me wrong, but the most important thing is called phosphorylation. And that all happens in the endoplasmic reticulum. And so what occurs is when you start stretching, it starts to work. You follow me? If you go into an immediate sprint, what's going to happen? You're not going to produce enough ATP. And what's going to happen? You're going to get a cramp. Why? Because now you go into anaerobic metabolism, which produces lactic acid. What does that do? It causes cramps and it makes you pant. Why? That's how you get rid of lactic acid. It's not that you're completely out of shape and out of breath. It's your anaerobic metabolism because you didn't stretch. So you see that person that thinks they're in great shape, and even the fat guy like me starts to run with them, and all of a sudden they're holding their sides standing at the corner because they didn't stretch and they didn't get ready. So you got to take the deep breaths, and you got to just, whatever you want to do, hands above the head, stretch out, whatever. All it's doing is using legs, arms, neck, whatever part of your body, because as you stretch, more blood is flowing, and the endoplasmic reticulum is getting ready to increase phosphorylation, otherwise known as ATP, adenine triphosphate. That's the energy source of our body's muscles. Is everybody with me? That's what it's for. So don't forget these two. The warm-up and the stretch. Because that gets you prepared. And if you don't do those, two things about it. What my daughters preach to me, if you don't do that, you're not getting the benefit of the workout. Because you're not getting 100% of your lung capacity or the maximum percent of your lung capacity, and you're not increasing the phosphorylation, so you're not really working the muscle to its extent. So everybody understands the concept. Good. All right. Number 3. Build gradually. What does that mean? If today you walk a quarter mile. You do not run a mile tomorrow. Does everybody follow me? Funny story. Oh, I wish I could figure out what the heck it's called. Spinning. My daughter's a spinning instructor. Funny story, 178 pounds. Thank God she left. I was paying a fortune for her to go to Juilliard. She went to Juilliard in New York City because she's a great voice. And it was a fortune. And she called me one day crying. Dad, I'm never going to get the part, I'm fat. They tell me I have a good voice, but I'm never going to get to do what I want to do. It's like, all right, so what do you want to do? So she went to a place called Belmont University in Tennessee. Like I said, when she left, she's 178 pounds. So she gets down and says, Dad, I found a way to lose weight. Send me $500. And I'm thinking like, oh, what's this scam? And I said, what are you talking about? She said, it's called twilight spinning. It's dark in the room, no one sees how fat I am. So I sent her the $500. Long story short, she now runs the class. And they even do it on the computer. And like I said, my other two daughters used to call her fatso. She's now skinnier than both of them. But the point comes back to that what occurs is once you get into a routine, you don't go aggressively. Well, what happens? She comes to Pittsburgh. They have spinning places in Pittsburgh. So this is about 2 years ago. She comes to Pittsburgh and sets up to run a class in the North Hills. So we all had to go. Okay? So I told myself, I am not letting my daughter-in-law beat me. Okay? So what didn't I do? I didn't warm up. I didn't stretch. But she didn't beat me. But I couldn't walk for a week. Okay? But the point comes back to you have to do this. You build up gradually. If you're walking a quarter mile, you may someday be able to run the mile. But that takes time. And there's nothing wrong with waiting, guys. Please build up. Okay, that's important. All right, pay attention to your posture. Why is that important? You can't imagine how many patients I have that tell me that they're going to start to work out that then end up in my office with an ailment. And it's usually musculoskeletal, something that they stretch or pulled or pinched. So once again, posture is important. If you're exercising, keep everything straight in front of you. You don't want to do anything on the side. If you're doing these kinds of movements, no resistance, no weight, and slow. You have to do that. Please make sure of that. Same thing like we said, build up to what you're doing and make sure, please make sure, posture. It's important. All right, this one I thought was pretty neat. You have to breathe. And when I read that, I thought, who the heck doesn't know that they breathe? And here, the chapter that I was reading for all this, it was going through, you do the deep breaths ahead of time to get the capacity in, and a lot of these things you do to build up your endurance. These couple patients that they cited thought if they held their breath while they did it, that they would improve their lung capacity. And what happened? They passed out. Okay? And I just added it because it was on the list, and I thought, well, I think everybody knows to breathe, but when you read these things, you recognize not everybody thinks the same, right? All right. Big one. Meal. How long after you eat do you exercise? Time. I always have these great stories. I was the team physician at St. Sebastian's. My son was the running back. I got to sit in the end zone because I was the team physician, and I knew the plays, okay? So I knew my son was going to run a trap, and I told my father, you're going to see Tony's head right in front of us in about 5 minutes, because I knew the play. So what happens? He dives, gets a touchdown, he stands up and pukes. Okay? He had ate 3 sausage McMuffin with eggs before the game. And I think 2 of them came out. But the point is, you can't eat half hour before you do exercise. A half hour. 20 minutes for the swimming pool. Okay, if you want to go swimming, at least 20 minutes. And why is that? Remember we talked about the one picture heart, liver. We'll put K for kidneys and B for the brain. When the heart squeezes, all the blood goes there for exercising. Remember what I said, hormones, all those things are involved. So the liver, the kidneys, the heart, and the brain all work in concert for the best results for brain exercise and physical exercise. Well, what happens if you eat a full meal? Now that blood gets diverted to the stomach. So what occurs? Now if you try to run or do different things, the same amount of blood that was going to the heart, the brain, the kidneys, and the liver when you didn't eat, it's all diverted now to the GI tract, which is big. Your small intestine's 140 feet. That's from here past George. Okay? And all that blood, while you eat, is circulating through your intestines, through your stomach, through your liver, through your spleen. So you can't have a good workout unless you wait 30 minutes exercising, 20 minutes if you're going to the pool. All right, everybody's got that. That's important, guys. Never, we said that. Wait, next one. Modify your workout. I thought this was good. And I'll show you that when we do it today. So that means if I normally work out by running up to the cars and then running back down, now what you want to do is go this way, same distance and back. They claim if you modify what you're doing, your body enjoys that, and the hormones are pleasurable hormones as opposed to, we're doing that again. So please pay attention to that, guys. This one I like. Listen to your, for the men, is that going to be wife? No. Body. If you have an ache or a pain that you didn't have before, the adage of no pain, no gain, that's up till you're 25. After 25, that is not a truism. Stop. Whatever pain you're having, stop. Because you don't know. And because you don't know, rule number one, do no harm. So if you all of a sudden get an ache or a pain that you've never had and it's unfamiliar to you, chances are what you've done with your routine, whether it's stretching, whatever it happens to be, may not be a good thing. And since we don't know, stop. You know, get a call into your doctor. Most of us say we'll see you right away. Hopefully we do. All right, the next one is cool down when you're done. What does that mean? Say we walked up to the wellness center, walked back down, walked over to the houses up on top, and walked back down. Do you stop and sit down? No. What does cooling down mean? You can just stand. Or you can just sit and move yourself around a little bit. It's just you don't want to just stop from exercising and completely stop the body's level of awareness to your exercise, because it is fully geared. All the hormones are being secreted, the heart's doing more, the liver's doing more, the kidneys are doing more, so you just cool yourself down. All right, and this last one, please do. Track your progress. For those of you guys that have anybody to play soccer, we play soccer on Sundays behind the middle school at Ingomar on Cumberland Road. And the reason I bring that up is Dr. Jagiello and I have played since we were in our 20s. And I quit. I used to play with him. We were in a pretty good league. We used to travel around in my 50s. And then I hurt my knee, and I quit because it was a lot of running. And what happened was, long story short, my brother's a sports medicine doc. It's called prolotherapy. He put 150 shots of my left knee and fixed it. But I still was worried, so I never went back to full running. Well, since I lost weight, I was able to run, and I didn't have any pain. So I did start playing again with him. And what occurred, it was remarkable. I started out just playing goalie because I hadn't run in so long. And now I'm running again. And if someone would have told me a year and a half ago that I would have done what I've done, I wouldn't have believed it. That's what the human body's capable of. And it's so funny. Another good story. My wife and I, when we got married, were supposed to go on a cruise with my roommate from medical school's brother who had a boat. And we were supposed to cruise the Mediterranean for 2 weeks. And what happened, this was in '88, some guy got thrown off a cruise ship in the Mediterranean, and my wonderful mother-in-law wouldn't let us go on the trip. So we ended up going to Hawaii, okay? And we both met each other in Grenada. When you're in Grenada, Hawaii doesn't do anything for you. But long story short, we planned a whale watching trip, okay? So my wife buys a new camera to go on the whale watching trip. When you shoot the picture, it takes like 6 in a row. So we go out on this thing. They called us the morning of because it was raining and said, everybody cancel, but if you guys still want to go, we take you. So we go out on this little, it was like a dinghy. And sure enough, a whale jumped up beside us. And so my wife's camera caught the head, the body, and the tail coming out. They bought the picture off of her, and so it didn't cost us anything to do it. So of course, when we get back, what does she want? A new camera that can take 12 pictures at a time, okay? So we get to the point, 6 children, I'm playing soccer like I told you with Dr. Jagiello, and she gets one, takes 24, I can't believe it's a second, so it has to be more than a second, but all you hear is like, as this thing works. So her, my 6 children, they jump in the car, championship soccer game, down off of Rochester Road where the Porsche dealership is, and I think it's called New Swickley, right? So we get there, long story short, I play defense, and it's what's called a corner kick, where the other team tries to put the ball in your goal. So I'm standing there, he kicks it short, and our forward gets the ball. His name's Tony. And I just yell, Tony, I'm going. And I run as fast as I can down the middle of the field. Tony's coming down. The only person between me and the goal is the goalie. And Tony chips the ball. I have to leave my feet. So I'm in midair. I hit the ball right before the goalie punches because he hit me in the head. He missed the ball. And the ball goes in and the net goes up, right? And I'm like this, and I turn, my wife's sleeping. I thought that was a pretty good story. Again though, guys, please, why I want you to do this, tracking the progress, you won't believe it till you track it, is what it comes down to. You'll feel better. What I noticed at first, and again, I'm promoting the cut the wheat, guys. Pasta, bread, rice, and potatoes, I used to eat daily. I've cut them out, and it's incredible how it's changed. I had to get new belts. I can't delay you too long. I couldn't wear this belt. I didn't know how to work it. I told my wife I needed a new belt. She buys this belt. I couldn't figure it out, how to put it on and take it off. You know what she said to me? Look it up on YouTube. So I did, and I wore it. But the point comes back to, if you don't track your progress, you don't realize where you were and where you are. And it's a great motivator. Believe me, it's a great motivator. And again, guys, what I like to leave you with is to make sure that you have an understanding of today's purpose, because it's so important to recognize heart, liver, kidneys, and the brain get all the blood. And that's for a purpose. There's no doubt from the data I read from Cicero in 50 BC, the exercise keeps the mind sharp. And what happens? Remember we talked about, if the blood vessels get clogged, and in the 60s we found 18-year-olds with clogged blood vessels. So we know diet's important. But what beats all that? Exercise. Now, what everybody's been waiting for, my demonstration of the 7-minute exercise. I hope we still have 7 minutes. If not, we'll blame somebody. It's not my fault. All right, now listen. This was what I was challenged on with the sit and be fit, I think is what they called it. And it was remarkable because I really didn't feel that it was truly exercise. I thought that they were just going in the room for entertainment. So what you find is, get yourself in a comfortable chair, whatever's comfortable for you. It's all into a series of things you do, and you don't stop. Now, you don't have to do it fast, but you don't stop. This is what they are, 7 minutes, okay? And I may do it faster because we may not have the time. It's arms, legs, neck, and then you just bend at the end. And what you do, position of your arm, change it. So start out, relax, maybe at the elbow here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Change positions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I didn't time it, but that should have been a minute. Same thing this side. You go to the left hand. 10. 10. 10. Move the position. 10. 10. 10. That's another minute. Okay, is everybody following me? The feet, the same thing. 10 with the foot, 10 with the ankle, and then again, the same 10. This one is where it gets a little rigorous because now you got to lift the leg up. Okay, don't hurt yourself. Put a pillow under there if you have to. But again, it's the same 10. Same thing. 10. 10. 10. Move the position, hold it up when you first start because you don't want to hurt yourself. And again, you see I'm changing it up, but you have to do the 10. And then it's the neck, okay? And what you do with the neck is forward first, 10. 1, 2, 3, for 10. Back. And not fast, guys. Don't be whipping it, because you're just starting. Back, 10. Sideways, 10. Sideways, 10. Then turn it. Don't do it fast. 1, 2, and don't go all the way to your shoulder if you can at the beginning, even just a little bit to start. Do not hurt yourself, okay? That gives you 10. That's the 50. And then the other one now goes with the lateral bending. So what you're doing is you go forward first, 10, backwards, 10, sideways, 10, sideways, 10, and then this is the one. Don't go all the way and grab the chair. You'll get to that. Like when I see some of these 85, 90-year-old people, they're turning around looking backwards. You'll get there. But for now, just even a little 10, just that, and then the same thing. Okay? And what that does now is that gets you, that you get to the 60. The last one is standing up. Okay, and again, for those of us that there's trouble with the standing up, that they say to do is get to the edge of the chair and just push up as best you can to start. So 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, till you get to the 10, and then you go to different positions in the chair for 10. And it's the same thing. If you're standing, it's 1, 2, and again, guys, you count that off for 6 tens is a minute. That's where you get the 7 minutes. All you need is a chair. And you don't stand up, and you don't, like I said, when I first went, and this lady, her face was looking backwards. That's how much she turned. And she told me when she first started, she couldn't even turn it on. Your body's not used to doing it, so don't push it. Remember what we said. Don't push your body. And if you have a pain, if you do what I just did, and you end up with a pain, something you did too fast, or something you did took your body out of its normal contours. But this is the simple part. Please make sure. Remember, daydreaming is fine, and picking a period of time in your life. Time it, 7 minutes. It flies by. Believe me, I could tell you stories for 20 minutes. Like, just do it yourself, or write it down as was suggested. Please get a journal to track what you're doing. And again, if we get that opportunity to get these classes started, I'll let you guys know, because I really find exercising the mind is phenomenal. And again, guys, if you get a chance, look up Cicero. This guy was wild. Imagine being beheaded. What a way to go. All right, guys, any questions? Yes?
There's an exercise program on 956, 10 o'clock on Tuesday and Thursday morning, that basically does everything that you just said.
That's a stretching class.
Good.
No, it's not stretching,
It's exercise.
it's exercise.
Yeah, but not before. I didn't stretch for you.
But she has a warm-up.
Good.
And she has a stretching afterwards.
Good. Yeah, but I would definitely, I didn't do it, I should have. I'll say we were out of time. What you want to do,
Start with deep breathing.
you have to do the deep breathing.
Well, she starts with
And then the stretching, like different people do different things. Some people bring a leg up and move it around. You don't need to do that because you're not doing a whole lot with your legs. The whole point, though, is what's the stretching for? The endoplasmic reticulum. Don't let anybody tell you to stretch your muscles out. That's BS. It's to get these cells in your body that phosphorylate the energy in your body to make it so you have the energy, so it's aerobic metabolism. You don't want lactic acid. If you guys get short of breath, you didn't take good deep breaths. I didn't get short of breath, I got sweat. I didn't get sweaty now, so I didn't do it. But when I went that day, man, you should see some of these 90-year-olds, you see how fast they do this stuff. It reminded me, I don't remember the song now, Macarena or something, when the girls used to get up and do these crazy dances. You should see these people that do these classes all the time, how fast they're moving. I couldn't do it as fast as they were. Of course, I tried because I was sitting in, and I thought, ooh, I'm sweating. So you know it works. 7 minutes. Twice a day. Don't forget the mental part, guys, because that's the biggest piece, and I want to see the improvement. And like I said, we're going to set this up. Once we do, I'll let you know, because what they're doing, it's called MOCA, which is equivalent to the mini mental. It's all out of Canada that they started this stuff. So they do a mini mental, they do a depression scale, they check your height, your weight, the circumference of your arm, circumference of your belly, all these kinds of things, and then they teach you, they get you into these classes. And these aren't exercise classes, like they're just general classes, and you can pick which one you want to go to, and they last 15 minutes, break, 15 minutes, break, 15 minutes, you're done. Why? We all know we can't sit for a half hour to listen to, I don't know how you guys listen to me that long, but generally you can't, so that's why they set them up that way. Is everybody with me? Any other questions? Good, thanks for having me. And make sure you guys know Joe's coming back.